He's very excited to talk about Kaguya-sama, guys. Welcome. It is the KOA podcast, King of Anime. I am Satsuki the Savage. He is everything animated. And we are here to talk about a very popular rom-com anime. Something that if you haven't seen, you at least know of. And that is none other than Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Love is war, love is war, love is war. EA has seen the first 3 episodes of it. I've seen the first 3 seasons of it, so that's
you've seen everything.
Yeah, kind of comparable. Yeah, I haven't read all of the manga. I've read some of it up to a certain point. Nothing past where the anime has ended, nor the movie. That is to say that I know a lot about the series, so I'm not going to be in a position to speculate or do this or that. I'm going to have to refrain from talking about certain things and spoiling people who haven't gotten past a certain point, especially EA. But this is something I really wanted to talk about just because I thought this would be a very interesting series to talk about, especially when it comes to us. Because me and EA, I feel, have a similar taste when it comes to a lot of romances, at least what we want out of it. And I know for EA especially, Kaguya-sama is structured in a way that I feel that EA would not like it if I explained it to him, but maybe if you watched it, it would be different. And that's kind of why I wanted to watch it. I'm not sure how EA feels because he has not told me. This will be a surprise to me. So EA, you have the floor.
Okay. So when it comes to Kaguya-sama, I know this is something that's been, mentioned to me. I've seen the GIFs, I've seen the memes and all that other wonderful stuff. And I don't know. Sometimes I put myself off on these animes just because I know they're going to be good. So I need to take the time to watch them, if that makes sense. And sometimes I'll just kind of forget about them and I go, oh yeah, I heard a lot of people like that. So let me go ahead and watch it. But just being fresh off of the first 3 episodes, literally just new in my brain as of like a couple days ago. It's one of those animes where I agree, on paper it shouldn't work. It's like an anime where it's almost kind of like both of the characters are like main characters in a way, where if the roles were reversed, where the female wants the man or the vice versa, I could see them as the main protagonist, like the love interest, like the I don't know, maybe it's just like the nerdy person, the one that's like, oh, I'm so ugly, I can't get with anybody, and that's the person they're trying to get after or whatnot. But instead, they're both like the main protagonist, and it's almost kind of like, I don't know if you were the one that said it or if I heard this from someone, but it's definitely like Death Note in a way, where it's kind of like,
I did
Light Yagami.
I did say that on Twitter. I said I said it was rom-com Death Note, essentially.
Yeah, I could see that, because this is a cat and mouse game of Light Yagami and L, and just going back and forth. Very, very interesting. And I don't know where they get the idea of, oh, if you say you love the person first, that makes you whipped, or that you're gonna be this weak person. I don't know who put that out there, but it's just like, that's the standard now, and everybody has to kind of like,
I mean, I could tell you
the other person asked them out.
I could tell you who put that in, or why that's a thing. It's because these two are stupid. They're stupidly prideful. There's nobody else who thinks like this. It's just them.
Right. Because I'm just like, who said that? I mean, I know they mention that every episode, but I just kind of thought, where did that idea come from to begin with? But okay, so it's just those 2 idiots. So, but it's weird because it's like not a lot happens, but a lot happens at the same time, where it's just this, thinking 4 steps ahead, just thinking what the other person's going to say, how they're going to react, how they're going to interpret their response. And I think it's really clever. I definitely think it's really clever. It's one of those where, like I said, a lot happens, but at the same time, not a lot. Because when you look at it, and if you cut out all the extra stuff, it's just these two people in a room just going, yeah, let's go to the beach. Yeah, let's go to the mountains. Beach. Yeah, sure, okay, why not?
Yeah, if you cut out, I remember someone made an edit of this, a Death Note, of them cutting out the inner monologue and how awkward it is without it. If you cut out a lot of the inner monologue and narration with Kaguya-sama, and you just had what they were doing in the show, just the dialogue, it would look so weird.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah, and that's what I think too, because, you know, you would get these scenes of where, I'm so bad at names, but I'm just learning. There's Kaguya, I know is the girl, and the guy is
Shirogane.
Hold on. Shirogane. Okay. You have Shirogane, who's just trying to trick Kaguya into like getting his phone number or whatever. And if you look at it without the inner monologues, she just starts crying out of nowhere, saying, "You're so mean, Hitoi. Oh, you're so..." And then just, "Okay, you here, check it." And then she's like, "Mental image." Just found it and whatnot. And it's like, oh my God. And I love how Chica's kind of like the voice of reason in all this, where she doesn't know all these mental gymnastics are going on. She's just she's a secretary, right?
Yeah, she's the Shirogane is the student council president. Kaguya-sama is the vice president. Chika's the secretary, and then we have he kind of was pictured, but not really. We didn't really get to see his face. We have the treasurer, Ishigami.
Okay. Yeah, haven't seen him yet. But Chika's just kind of just there, just like everything's per the usual normal, and like, maybe you should, I don't know, just like kind of talk about this. One of the funniest scenes happened in episode 3 where I just died. I actually thought this was pretty funny. And I almost thought for a second that Kaguya was a weird sicko at first. I was just like...
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where I was just like, wait, what? And she's just not even batting an eye. She's just like, yeah, I mean, you probably do it with your sister all the time. And he's just like, no, this stuff happens.
Yeah, so for context, the scene that EA is referring to right now is when Kaguya's, there's a magazine that the principal confiscated, and Kaguya is reading through it, and then she sees a poll, and a poll says 34% of high schoolers have had sex. So in a way, they don't say it in those words. They say it in a very vague way. They say it as like, I think it's to the effect
of something.
I think it's like just done it, something like that.
Yeah.
Like 34% of high schoolers have done it. And of course, when people hear that, they would think of sex. Not Kaguya, though.
She's been lived a sheltered life.
Yeah.
It was even said in the flashback, or the kind of like the scripter or whatever, because the narrator is like a huge part of this whole series.
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Just talk it away. And he just basically said, she's lived a very sheltered life. She doesn't know anything about sex. And I just love the picture of just like slamming the door, just basically just locking away just her mind of just like, she doesn't even know what sex is. It's one of those things. But yeah, that was so great. It's like, yeah, you two kiss all the time. It's like, no, we don't. It's like, I asked her, Chica, we do this? No, don't bring me into this.
No, she said, Chica, you do this with your dog.
Oh, do this with you. That's right. I messed up.
And she was like, you do? And she's like, no, I don't. Get me out of this.
No, I don't do this with my dog. And then when we come to find out what we all were thinking as having sex, she said she's just a kiss. It's like a little, like she's kissed her, like nephew or cousin on the cheek, not nephew, but cousin on the cheek, brother. I can't remember what you said, but basically just something innocent. And then that's when they were like, oh, okay, Chica. Chica's like, I got this. Gets up, it's like, that's not what that refers to. It's actually, and then all of a sudden, like this rush of just everything coming over Kaguya's face, just like, oh my god. I did not mean that. I'm sorry.
She told her the truth of the world.
She now knows about the birds and the bees.
Yeah. Okay, so just from that brief conversation, it seems that I may be presumptuous in saying this. It seems like you enjoy the show.
Yeah. So far, the first 3 episodes are pretty good. What was that for?
No. It was a precaution. You know, it was a safety measure just to, you know, make sure everything wasn't. Things are going smooth, so it's something that I won't even have to look at. Look, it's all the way over here now.
Okay, well, now that I know my life is no longer in danger,
now the podcast starts.
Yeah, now the podcast can begin. This is one of those alternate realities. I go, fuck no, I hate this series. You just see next episode, you just lying there dead in a pool of blood.
Yeah, see, well, yeah, I thought this series would be, so let's kind of backtrack a little bit. The reason I thought that you might not like this series is just because these are 2 characters who obviously like each other, but refuse to confess. And that is something that we have expressed our gripes with in a lot of different romance shows, because we're like, this is the obvious couple. Why don't you get together? Blah, blah, blah. So just do it. And then there's always some roadblocks making sure that doesn't happen. The structure of Kaguya-sama, though, is very interesting because they very much lean into the comedy and they expose the pride of both of these characters. And it's their pride is to a high level. Shirogane is very prideful of who he is, being the president of this very esteemed school. This is a school for a shit ton of rich kids and like pristine individuals who come from the craziest backgrounds. We're talking about CEOs. We're talking about the greatest entrepreneurs. Kaguya herself, her family is in like, they have billions upon billions of dollars. So him being the president of this school, which is based on merit, is something that he takes pride in. Rightfully so, I would say. Because you know, he has top grades, you know, perfect attendance, and just his morals are in line. So it makes sense why he thinks that he's the shit. Like he's the guy that the girl should you know, fawn over. And I think even that is a change from a lot of the romance series we get. I feel like with a lot of romances, there's always a discrepancy in the self-confidence of one of the characters. If they're usually what we get is the kind of like the kind of like the loner guy who's down at the dumps, and then we got the eccentric pixie girl who sweeps him off his feet and tells him, hey, life is actually kind of fun, and he's like, oh. And that's basically what you get. And not to say that that's always bad. I mean, I like my dress up darling, and it kind of has that template. However, this is unique in that both of these characters think they're the shit. Kaguya thinks that every man should desire her. She even goes as far as to say, in the first episode, mind you, that if somebody wants to ask her out, they have to start off by giving her a country or 2 before she considers it.
Damn. I mean, when you have somebody that high up where it's like you got to give them a country, I think you might want to lower your expectations, go somewhere else at that point. I'm giving you a country.
I mean, what if it's a small country, you know? It could be like a little island or something. I don't know.
Depending on the island. I mean, islands nowadays are kind of like not so good to have.
Yeah.
But maybe like a palm tree. Here's a palm tree, a palm frond. You grow
Not
into a
enough.
wonderful tree.
It's not enough, yeah. It's not enough. See,
apparently not.
you're never going to get a woman like that, yeah. Nope.
Oh no,
You're going to die a virgin.
I'm not gonna get a woman that's doesn't know what sex is, who's very much a manipulator, and in I like how in Shirogane's mind, she's like this horrible individual that just goes, "How adorable," and just things like that. When I don't think she's that bad. If anything, these first 3 episodes showed me kind of the typical typical girlish, where she just like has a crush, and if you were to tell her that you liked her or loved her, she'd fall for you because you see how she reacts.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about. I say that they're very prideful, but they also are very normal in that if one of these, you get the feeling at least that if one of these guys confess to each other, there wouldn't be any of the backlash that they draw up in their mind. There wouldn't be any of the well, you asked me out, now I own you forever. What?
Right.
Like that wouldn't, they wouldn't even think like that because they would be so infatuated with the idea of being with that person. They are letting their pride basically serve as a veil for not asking the other person out. And it's again, it's deeper than their pride. It's kind of just fear of rejection, which is pretty normal stuff. Kaguya says as much, I think, at the end of episode 1, where
you get to see her shield kind of get let down in the first episode.
Yeah, the character wasn't really formally introduced to us yet, but she talks to one of her maids, Hayasaka, and Hayasaka just asks her, well, what would you do if you did fall in love? Would you just let the time go pass by, or would you pursue it? And Kaguya thinks about it and says, if I did fall in love, I wouldn't let it slip past me. And it's like, that's not true, because you are in love right now, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's a girl in love for sure. Like, she is the epitome of it.
Yeah. So I find the series very interesting, and this is, I guess, for future episodes and events, the show progressively gets a lot more serious. I think season 1 has a lot of the comedy in it. Not to say that the future seasons don't, but it's more leaning towards on the comedy. I would say it's like 70-30 comedy to romance, if I had to put a number on it. And then once you get by season 3, I would feel it's more like 50-50, where you're getting half and half of the romance developments, and it's not just with these characters too. It's with other characters as well. But
this series has a conclusion.
Yes, well, because the manga has ended. I have not read the ending of the series yet, but you do get progression. So it's not going to the cat and mouse games that Kaguya-sama and Shirogane play. They are going to end at some point. The series is not just going to be this. It's just the entry point. I won't say where it ends or if it ends by the anime, but it is going to end.
Yeah, because I could definitely see that at a certain point. Because while a series like this, first 3 episodes, impressive, very good, funny, and whatnot, I could see over time, if there was no progression, how this could get stale really fast. And I think that could be a problem. I mean, you say it changes at some point, which is good. If this was like, because I see that it's 3 seasons. If this was the whole series for 3 seasons, I would say then I would start to kind of be like, okay, it's funny, we're joking about this, but can we at least get to the progression at some point?
Yeah. I think even the course over this season, there are steps and strides that are being taken where you kind of see the shield be let down just for a little bit. I think it happened even within these 3 episodes where you talked about where Kaguya is having that candid moment with her maid. I think it also happened when Kaguya was talking about when she gets a confession letter in her locker and she brings it to the student council, basically to make Shirogane jealous, to force him to say something. And it gets to a point where, you know, Shirogane tries to use his status as the student council president to deter her from doing it. He's like, you shouldn't do this. It's illicit. It's against the rules. And then Kaguya-sama just, she says, fuck it, and plays it up. Because she has no real intentions of actually going out with this guy. She just wants Shirogane to come to her. And she's like,
I don't even think we've seen that guy.
Yeah. He was just dude. Like, he was just like a weed in the imagination.
That's right. He was a weed. How's it going?
Yeah, Shirogane plays this whole thing up, and she's like, fuck it, if it's true love, I'll go chase after him. And Shirogane, eventually he gets to a point where he stops playing games, and he goes like, what would you do if I were the one to ask you out instead of this guy? Hypothetically, of course. And then Kaguya was like, well, hypothetically, then I might consider you over this guy. And you know, that's when Chika steps in to basically put the kibosh on it. But it's a moment like that which shows you, again, these characters are willing to confess to each other. They just make up some bullshit in their head to not let it happen.
Right.
And it seems like that where you see both of their armor depleted and they kind of just are real with each other for a second.
Yeah, because you have moments where, and I'm going to get all these episodes mixed up, so I don't care. But there's ones where, you know, Shirogane is eating some food and Kaguya is just like, oh, looking angry. And he's just like, why does she look so mad? I don't understand. And then he just has this weird thing in his mind, and she's just jealous because he's obviously feeding Chika, and, you know, she feels like she can't compete with someone like that. She feels like she can't compete in multitude of ways. I mean, she feels like she's cute, the giant boobs, and the body.
I also think it's just that she wanted a home cooked meal because her meal are like by chefs. So it's like, you know, it's like the whole I want home cooking with love versus, you know, kind of like this structured and high quality nutrition type of meal. That whole thing. She just wants like a regular thing, I guess.
Yeah, because then the very next day she makes this 5-star gourmet feast for a bento with
a
lobsters. You can't get any more fancy than a freaking lobster tail. Just stick it out. You're just like, God. Yeah. And I just love how nobody took the bait. It was just like, well, let's eat our own food.
Yeah, nobody gave a fuck.
For Chika. She was even more pissed. And for someone who's supposed to be incredibly smart, Shirogane's kind of an idiot. It's just like, she must really be upset for some reason. I don't understand it.
Yeah, he was thinking that she was thinking that his food was pathetic compared to hers, and he's like, no, I'll show you. Horrible. See, when I mix this cold rice with this miso soup, it actually tastes the greatest. And then Chika's like, let me try some. And the whole time Kaguya's getting mad at Chika, calling her everything but the child of God. She called her a parasite. She said all like the nutrients go to her boobs instead of her brain.
You are no longer my friend. I see you in the street. I'm going to stab you, or something along those lines. And then towards the end of it, or the next day, I think it was, she's just like, you care so much about me. You're such a good friend. And Chika's none the wiser of even what just happened in her head.
Yeah, because it was Shirogane like ate his lunch really quick and left. And then Chika kind of saw that Kaguya was stressing, so she just got one of the wieners and then like fed it to her. And then Kaguya's like, I'm sorry, Chica, you really are human after all. It's just like, she's like, that was a doubt?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just so many things just go through these characters' heads, just really just trying to one up the other person and trying to make the other person confess.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely very interesting. Like I said, on paper, it sounds like something that wouldn't work, but I feel like it's, well, first of all, the animation is pretty damn good. Like, it's the animation, it's the voice acting that sells it, it's the characters. I think if the characters were boring and didn't, or were stiff and they just couldn't pull it off, it wouldn't be nearly as good. But it's definitely the characters, and I think that's what keeps us coming back for more. Because if this was just your run-of-the-mill, because I've seen a few of them this particular season, fall 2025, just stupid anime, just with just boring characters, and you're just like, why do people watch this? Because there's a couple that I've seen where I'm like, this is popular. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember which one, but I've seen a couple where I'm just like, oh, this is booty. But no, so far it's kept my interest, and it's pretty funny. I love how they're leaning heavily into the comedy stuff, especially episode 2, where Shirogane is just giving advice to somebody of how to like love somebody. That was really good too, and Kagi is just on the outside, just kind of listening, just trying to see his thoughts of what it is to be a man, and like, oh, what do you do to make a woman fall in love with you? It's actually really simple, but some people like to overcomplicate things. But apparently what he did, it worked. She was scared into it.
Well, the funny part about the whole convo is Shirogane doesn't have any romantic experience, but because he's the student council president, he feels that it's his job to be able for people to go to him for advice. He's kind of like the perfect guy. So when somebody comes to him for love advice, even though he has no experience, he feels the need to bullshit his way through it. And so he's giving like this contrarian advice to him, which he said like a couple of things that are like viable, but most of the things he was saying weren't good. It wasn't good advice objectively. Yeah. But it worked anyways. And it was funny too, because like you said, Kaguya is outside the door, and eventually, because the convo with the guy he was talking to, it got to a point where he was like, well, what about you and Kaguya? Aren't you guys together? And he's like, no, we aren't together. And he started to talk about Kaguya, and he started talking about her flaws. It was going to be one of those things to where he was like, she's this and this and this and this and that. But, he started listing all her flaws, and Kaguya's getting progressively angry because she's hearing all of this. And then eventually he all of a sudden he just starts glazing her. He's like, yeah, she's beautiful. She has a slender figure. She gets good grades and blah, 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 blah. And then Kaguya's like, oh. And then Shirogane is like, whew. That was a close one, because he could see her hair in the ribbon outside the door.
That was pretty slick. That was pretty. He's just like, ooh, that was close. She almost murdered me, but she was just right outside the door. And also, after that whole interaction happened, once the guy left and said, I'm going to take your advice and I'm going to do it, thank you, she was happy. She was absolutely glowing and just like, would you like some tea and all that other stuff. She was happy as can be. Like that to me right there shows me that, like I said, I feel like she could be broken down. Like, in Shirogane's mind, she's way worse to him than anything ever imagined. How adorable, the dead eyes that she gives and everything. But it's just like, honestly, I feel like if he was to be honest and say that he likes her and wants to be with her, she'd melt like butter, just right then and there.
Yeah, I think I don't believe that Shirogane believes that Kaguya-sama is actually like that. I think it's kind of it's a built-in excuse for him to not confess. Like, he has to believe that she would be mean enough or vindictive enough to throw this back in his face, because he knows she's not a mean person at heart or anything of the sort. they play these games with each other. They're very manipulative and trying to get each other to confess to each other, but it's a game. It's not anything that they take too far, I feel. And at the core of it, they kind of just want the other person to admit the truth. They both like each other and they know they both like each other. However, both of them are kind of too afraid to admit it for whatever reason. And at the surface level, it's their pride. But I think deep down, it's just kind of the fear of rejection and maybe just some other factors. One of them being that they both are not experienced in romance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a multitude of things. Fear of rejection, maybe because of the fact that they're both rich, so they come to expect the fact that, you know, like they get what they want and they can do it a certain way.
Shirogane is not rich.
Oh, I thought you said it was a rich school.
It is a rich school, but Shirogane is not rich. He specifically has got to the school based on like good grades and merit. Yeah. That's why he's so proudful about who he is.
Okay. Now that definitely makes a lot more sense. Now that I think of it that way, because that's one of those things where maybe because he is so prideful in the fact that she is rich, that probably fucks with him because of the fact that she's rich and he's not. And nothing will ever be good enough for someone like her. So that changes my perspective now a lot because I could see that as one of those things where that could mess with him.
Yeah. I won't say whether or not that does play a factor, but I will say their backgrounds are integral to their characters moving forward. So again, that's one of those things to where you'll see more and more of it. Just talking about the 3 episodes, just keeping it there, I feel like there are some signs there's like small little things that you see that you really don't pay attention to that gives a big overall view to who the character is. I want to go back to when we were talking about the whole sex thing with Kaguya. If you looked at that flashback where she had this instructor on a board telling her the steps of romance and, cutting it off at a kiss, basically. If you look at the board, one of the things on the board said, leave everything to the man. And that's one of those things to where, again, you may not even look at that scene. You may not even like pay attention to that little segment, but I think that's a very telling thing. It kind of shows you like maybe Kaguya-sama's family is ruled by patriarchy. And they have one of those values to where like the man is making the ultimate decision. And that's why Kaguya-sama is as sheltered as she is, because it's one thing for your parents to, not try to show you any sexual content. And it's another thing for them to basically manipulate you into thinking sex doesn't exist. That's like a whole different thing. Kids are going to learn, teenagers are going to learn, whether it be by you or through their friends, they're going to learn that stuff. For you to control that information, again, I feel like that kind of gives you some clues as to what's going on with Kaguya's family life. Because we haven't gone into that much, but it's still kind of there.
You get to see these characters little by little. I feel like this most recent episode 3, we saw a lot of Kaguya herself, especially when it came to her. She kind of just wanted to wait to see if she could see Shirogane on his bike and everything, which then turned into, of course, another dumbass kid getting lost in Japan because, no one can be found in Japan, apparently.
Yeah, she had a Ren Tosaka episode.
Yeah, pretty much. And helped her walk across the street because this little grade school girl was just very much afraid to cross the street and be by herself. But, even though Kaguya was just kind of like, like annoyed by it and just I want to deal with it. I don't want to be bothered with this. Deep down, it was like, okay, this is the right thing to do. I should at least help this kid cross the street.
Yeah.
And you got to see more and more of just kind of like a glimpse of just her personality and how she felt, kind of like giving her advice to this little girl and saying, maybe you could just be with your friends if you just, I know you were walking with a huge group, but maybe you could like find a best friend and just walk with them. And she says, "Oh, you're such a genius. That was very smart." And of course, you're always going to look like a genius to a grade schooler. But yeah, it's and then you saw, I think it was like a little bit of flashbacks of her when she was a kid and everything. So
yeah, because
very short.
Yeah, because she's always been in a limo, commuting to school. So she's never had the basic experience of walking this. I say basic, like I've walked to school before. I have not. I've always taken a bus. But like this is like a common experience, especially in Japan, of just walking to school. So she's never had that experience, which kind of shows you of, more of her shelter upbringing and how she kind of resents having a past like that, because while you have all the money, resources that you could ever want, you don't really have that basic human experience, that common experience of having a homemade bento box. You got that, and just walking to school with your friends. That's something that she never had, and it's something that she was about to take the opportunity to try to do with Shirogane, as you said. And again, we get a little bit more of her backstory, because she talks about how if she's late to school, that they will basically not let her walk to school again. You may take that as a throwaway comment, but it kind of shows you how controlling the family is. If you're late one single time, we're going to basically take away your freedom. It's kind of insane. Yeah, they were already kind of not trying to let Kaguya-sama walk to school on her own. They were trying to make her walk with an aid, and that just goes to show you how pristine the Shinomiya family is. And of course, it comes at the cost of her basic human experience. Like, she doesn't have the typical school life, and it's something that she craves.
Yeah, and at the end, she got a free ride from Shirogane on his bike.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, at the end, it's a win-win. She helps a little girl get a little bit of confidence and gets a free ride. Hey, way to go.
Yeah. And she wasn't late. They both weren't late to school.
Yeah, he was hauling ass to make sure they weren't late.
Yeah. I would like to continue talking about this if you're interested, EA. We don't have to, of course, but it could be like, if we did, it could be at any point. It could be at the end of the season. It could be at the end of season 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be.
Watch the whole series.
Yeah, just fuck it.
I guess to answer your question, Sasuke, I think I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna see to it to the end.
The manipulation work.
No, take it back. Take it back. No, it's a memory now. No, I'm not cute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the fun fact, KOA has always been just Kaguya-sama in podcast form. We got a Kaguya, we got a Shirogane, we got a Chika. Even John. John's our Ishigami.
Who's who in KOA?
I'll let the fans decide that. We'll see. Whoever watched this, you guys label who you think is Kaguya, who you think is a Shirogane, who you think is a Chika of the podcast. I kind of have something in my mind, but I won't even say it. I'll let the fans decide what they think. But John for sure is Ishigami, without a doubt.
Oh, John, the fourth KOA member who is yet to be seen ever, but it's always his fucking fault. Always.
Appreciate everybody for watching the KOA podcast. The next podcast, I won't spoil what it might be, but it will be interesting. I promise you. Promise you. So you guys have a good night, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Peace and love from Sasuke the Savage. Everything animated. We love you. Bye-bye.
Later.